Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Number one. Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Housing Development Progress. In Nigeria. Housing Development Progress. In Africa. Housing Development Program and the globe. Number one, Housing Development Program.
Affordable housing remains a critical issue in Nigeria, with numerous factors contributing to its scarcity. Affordable housing is a pressing issue in both rural and urban areas in Nigeria, with a significant portion of the population facing challenges in accessing it. Recognized as a fundamental human right, adequate housing encompasses not only the physical structure of a dwelling, but also the availability of basic services, security of tenure, affordability, habitability, and accessibility. The focus on affordable housing by the Nigerian government as well as private players needs to increase as population growth and urbanization do not seem to be slowing down. Access to more affordable loans for all Nigerians as well as lower costs of construction would enable more Nigerians to own homes, which would improve their quality of life. This is Housing Development, where we advocate for the provision of low-cost housing for Nigerians. As always, I am your housing diva, Fleur Arnie. The news making rounds in the housing sector is coming up next.
Market survey by Newsmen reveals that prices of building materials have increased astronomically by about 100% amidst rising inflation and inadequate energy supply. It has also affected private property developers, as many of them have slowed down on construction, while individuals craving to build their houses through direct labor are also complaining. Also, suppliers of building materials said their capitals have depleted and wares shrank in shops and stores due to uncertain market forces. This is attributed to a combination of factors including disruptions in the supply chain, escalating labor costs, and wholesalers raising prices compared to factory rates. According to the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), Nigeria's headline inflation rate in September 2024 rose to 32.70%, up from 32.15% in August 2024. Cement prices surged from 4,000 naira to 8,000 naira per bag, representing a 100% increase. Blocks, which were selling for 250 naira each last year, are now between 550 naira and 600 naira, depending on the size. Iron rods, which range from 10 mm to 16 mm, which cost 800,000 naira per ton in 2023, are now 1,600,000 naira per ton or more, depending on the company. The cost of paints has also gone up, as a big rubber, which hitherto cost between 23,000 naira and 25,000 naira, is now between 46,000 naira and 50,000 naira. The Housing Development Advocacy Network (HDAN) has voiced serious concerns over the recent allocation of over 200 acres of land in Abuja's Phase 5 area for mass housing. The allocation, reportedly granted to a single organization, has sparked debates on the current state of housing policy, land use, and urban planning within the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). In a briefing to journalists, the executive director of HDAN, Festus Adebayo, urged the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, to adopt a more inclusive, balanced approach that prioritizes sustainable housing development, economic growth, and job creation over immediate revenue generation. Adebayo highlighted ongoing demolitions in Phase 5, where over 100 housing units have already been torn down on the minister's orders. The Housing Development Advocacy Network HDAN has extended warm congratulations to Cosgrove Investment Limited, celebrating 7 years of innovative leadership in Nigeria's real estate industry. In a statement issued in Abuja, the Executive Director of HDAN, Festus Adebayo, praised Cosgrove's chairman and CEO Umar Abdullahi and his team for elevating the company to a household name in Africa's smart city development. Reflecting on Cosgrove's remarkable journey since its founding in 2017, Adebayo commended the company's commitment to integrating advanced technology and sustainable practices in real estate.
To read the full details of the news, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. One of the indices for assessing the level of economic growth of a nation is adequate housing. The role of housing in growth and development is so vital that government all over the world makes provision for adequate housing of their citizens. As the demand for affordable housing grows, Nigerians must change the way it addresses its affordable housing strategies. How can the key obstacles to affordable housing be addressed? Take a listen to this housing experts.
Experts in the built environment have decried the need for an effective private-public partnership to drive home affordable housing in Nigeria. In an interview with Housing Development Crew, an expert in the real estate sector, Edward Adolu, narrates the worrisome challenges limiting an effective private-public collaboration.
One of the major problems to the private sector is one, the access to land. In most of the places, the Land Use Decree Act has made it so difficult for the private sector to be able to have access to land without having to pass through a lot of bottlenecks. That is one. Other factors will include what I would call long-term financing. In Nigeria, it's very difficult to find what we call long-term financing. All you have, if you approach the banks or financial houses, they can only give you a short-term financing of maybe maximum of 5 years.
Shola Moyero, a structural engineer and private developer, noted the expedient need for the government to put in place necessary measures that will ease construction of houses if housing must be affordable to Nigerians, as an effective implementation of policies for collaboration would promote private-public partnership in the country.
Government, please make housing a top priority. And we also need infrastructure. There's no infrastructure. There are some places we have land, but there's no infrastructure. There is no good road. There's no access to electricity. There is no water. So even as developers, we have so many challenges too. And it's also our own desire to be able to build for the lowest income earner to be able to afford. Private and public coming together to be able to work as a team, it will go a long way if the government are sincere with themselves.
The way forward is for us to look at the cost of delivery, and that is starting from the construction of houses. I think that what we have is that those that are in high income class have affordable houses, while those at the low income and medium income do not have. And the reason is very simple: the cost of construction is high, and again the issue of mortgage is not robust, because housing is capital intensive, and there are so many other persons that look into it as business.
Affordable housing in Nigeria can, however, be possible if bottlenecks are reviewed and necessary parameters from government or its corresponding relevant agencies to the private sector are put in place.
You're watching Housing Development. For affordable housing to be achieved, we cannot rule out the cost of building materials. Building materials account for over 60% of a construction project cost in Nigeria, with labor comprising the remaining 40%. According to reports, prices for building materials such as roofing sheets, tiles, cement had risen by 100% over a year. That in turn translates to higher rental and property purchase prices, creating an unsustainable circle for investors and developers. Well, let's find out the current prices of some building materials at the Gotv Building Materials Market in Abuja.
There was a change in price in the last 2 weeks, so the prices ranges from 85, 838. The increments is from Dangote factory. It's not only Dangote, including Bua, all of them increase their prices. So
everything has increased, even last week it went high again. It went to like 10% again. Understand? So it added like before like 2,000 liter it was 160, but now it was 180 now. Understand?
We have wall ties and we have floor ties. These are wall ties and the prices of this one is 5,500. But before we are selling it 4,500. Then this one is also a wall tie for bedroom or kitchen. It's sold by 4,500, but before we sell it 4,000. Then we have 40 by 40 by this. We sell this one 4,000 before, but now we sell it 5,000. Then we have 30 by 30. 30 by 30 we sold it by 4,000. Before we sell it 3,800.
Like the iron you are selling 18,500 is about 21,500 now. So it's about 2,000 naira increase. So there are different products like 12 mm, 10 mm. The prices has also increased. Like 10 mm we're selling for like 6,008, but now it's about we're selling about 7,027, but now it's about 8,500. What is affecting the increase? I don't know. Really, I don't know. Some say that it is materials that are scarce. Some people say that the tax and the clearance of the raw materials, the tax on them are too high. And so government should really look at the tax system and see how they can reduce the tax system so that or probably the wharf clearance fee and all those stuff, so that the goods that are coming in can also be cheaper.
It's good news. Are you a stakeholder in the built environment, or you are looking for an authentic, credible source for housing and construction news in Africa? You now have an opportunity. Africa International Housing Show has now created a unique opportunity for you by establishing a full-fledged housing television, the first of its kind in Africa. You can now access information on home ownership, rental, building materials, finance, real estate and insurance, among others, all on Housing TV Africa, channel 149 on Startimes.
The prices of building materials have surged according to findings at the Gotv Building Material Markets in Abuja, with some materials seeing nearly above 100% increase. Many developers have halted their projects in the hopes of a rapid decrease in building material prices. Is there any hope that there will be a rapid decrease in building material prices soon? In Nigeria, with the abundance of basic building materials such as clay, laterite, stone, lime, agro-industrial waste, wood, timber, granite, various types of sand in their natural state, housing provision still remains a challenge, especially to the middle and lower income earners. Can the adoption of alternative building materials in Nigerian housing sector be the solution? Let's listen to this housing expert.
According to the United Nations Center for Human Settlement, it classifies alternative building materials as traditional materials or materials that are not modern or conventional in nature. Experts also attribute the basics of alternative building materials to include recycled content, low embodied energy, natural materials, energy efficiency, non-toxic or less toxic content. With a housing deficit of over 17 million, access to affordable housing has largely stayed a pipe dream for the vast majority of Nigerians, particularly the middle and lower classes, which takes about 80% of the populace. For many, exploring alternative building materials and encouraging local manufacturing of these materials in Nigeria may be the way to go, so as to ease the task of importing and high foreign exchange. Highlighting the factors militating the use of alternative building materials, Dr. Chi Akpoji, board chairperson of Shelter Afrique, says it is time for Nigeria and Africa at large to embrace available options for alternative building materials, adding that it is the future for housing construction in Africa.
Alternative building options available could also mean going back to what our ancestors used, traditional building materials, which in the olden days there was no issues with housing because people built houses using mud. And I know in some economies on Africa, they've actually reverted back to using mud to build, energy efficient homes. To round it up, I will say the deployment of alternative building technologies is possibly the future of housing construction.
Also speaking, Odunayo Ojo, CEO, UPDC PLC, says alternative building materials will help cut costs and encourage the use of local building materials.
There's a lot of advancement now that's going on in terms of technology. There's a lot of research that's going into the adaptation of local building materials, like traditional building materials, adobe blocks, bricks that we have in abundance in this country. We have a lot of stone, we have a lot of limestone that is quarried here in Nigeria that we can use for construction. We're also seeing a lot of technology in terms of modular housing systems where you can build houses faster by inputting some technology processes in the manufacture of houses. So all those things will cut the cost and make sure that the readily available materials we have in the country is what we are using to build.
CEO TAF Africa Global, Mustafa Inje, in his remark, says there is need to adopt the various options available so as to ensure sustainable development.
Well, alternative it depends on different stages. For example, building the structure. There are different models that is coming around now in the world, I can say, where people are avoiding using sand and cement because traditionally, brick and mortar, sand and cement is what is known. But some people are coming with initiatives using laterite dust, compacted bricks. Some are even coming with lighter material like polystyrene and then having it plastered. There are so many alternatives that are coming out, and it is coming out because it is an absolute need for this. Some of the things that we are using now is going to be exhausted. I mean, just imagine sand. You're going to run out of sand at one time. So there is the need to think about alternative building materials for sustainable development.
For the purpose of reducing costs, addressing environmental issues, or dealing with lack of conventional materials, it is time for us to embrace available options for alternative building materials in Nigeria so as to ensure that housing demand meets supply.
The program is Housing Development. It's countdown to Africa Housing Awards, Nigeria's premier housing and construction awards, organized by Africa's pioneer and foremost housing advocacy group, Housing Development Advocacy Network. The award is aimed at celebrating the excellent achievement of individuals and companies in the housing and construction industry. The award helps put major players of the housing and construction industry on the global stage, recognizing and celebrating top performers within the industry who have made significant contributions to the sector under the year in review. During this glamorous event, deserving individuals who have contributed immensely to the development of affordable housing will be inducted into the Affordable Housing Hall of Fame. Nominations are ongoing right now via the website www.africanhousingawards.com.
It is a good development. It's something that we encourage others to look forward to annually, and I hope they're able to sustain this. Senator, I will see how we can give support to them in the Senate so that they can go ahead to improve housing in Nigeria.
Whoever gets this kind of recognition should feel very, very proud of himself and his efforts. By this award, I think I've done well.
You're watching Housing Development, so glad you're still with me. In commemorating the annual Habitat Day and Walled Cities Day, the Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Sheikh Usman Osidi, has made a case for impactful collaboration towards building cities that are inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. Let's take a listen.
Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, Shehu Osidi, has made a case for impactful collaboration towards building cities that are inclusive, resilient and sustainable. This was as the bank recently joined the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development alongside other key players in the housing and real estate sector to commemorate the annual World Habitat Day and World Cities Day in Abuja. Enforced FMBN's role and commitment to affordable housing, which is predicated on the belief that a better urban center begins with access to safe, decent and affordable housing.
The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is committed to aligning with this vision by actively contributing to the growth and transformation of our urban centers. We believe that a better urban future begins with access to safe, decent and affordable housing. Accordingly, our practices and ambitions align closely with the goals of Urban October. At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, we are devising innovative housing finance solutions and schemes to continue to create accessible mortgage opportunities, especially for the youth who are the leaders of tomorrow. We are also helping young families realize the dream of homeownership in cities across Nigeria. Some of these products offered by the bank include the regular LHM mortgage loan, the individual construction loan, and the rent-to-own scheme. We are also introducing the non-interest rent-to-own and the rent assistance products to promote inclusivity and decent living.
The MD and CEO went on to underscore FMBN's dedication to creating accessible mortgage opportunities, stating that the bank has made devising innovative housing finance solutions and schemes to continue to create accessible mortgage finance opportunities, especially for the youth who are the leaders of tomorrow.
By promoting housing finance inclusivity, we contribute to strengthening the urban economy while providing stability for families within our urban communities. We are also supporting developers and urban planners in building cost-effective and sustainable housing. Our projects across various states are designed to meet the pressing housing demands of our growing population, with a focus on sustainable housing models that lessens negative environmental impact of urban housing. As we observe Urban October for the year 2024, I assure you that the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria will continue to work with all stakeholders towards a brighter urban future. We envision cities where everyone has access to decent housing and where urban growth translates into shared prosperity for all.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, cheer.
Huh? What is it again?
Oga, I dey drive this car, my mind no dey. My landlord is on my neck.
Your landlord again? I thought I have told you this before. Get a mortgage, register with NHF scheme, and get a home up front. What is so difficult about this?
Oga, I will do just that. See, I will shame that my landlord. Mortgage.
At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home.
One of the most effective ways to achieve affordable housing in Nigeria is through government intervention. The government can provide subsidies or tax breaks to developers who build affordable housing units. The government can also implement policies that encourage the development of affordable housing, such as reducing the cost of land and providing infrastructures like roads, water, and electricity. Providing this basic infrastructure is very fundamental to creating affordable housing. This is because it makes for cost reduction on the developer while serving as a great motivator for home seekers. Many times, investors look out for these basic amenities before choosing a destination for their investment, and so having it in place will greatly enhance home ownership for Nigerians. On that note, I call it a wrap on today's episode of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. I remain Flora Ani, your housing diva. Bye for now.